Alan, Darby, Jacqueline, Martinez. This is the Buyer's Boardroom. Learn the most about who you are today and where you want to be after.
All right, we're back in the Buyer's Boardroom. How's it going, Alan?
Going good, going good. Moved into my new house the last few weeks, so been busy unpacking boxes and hanging pictures and TVs. Feel
Nice.
like I'm a hand yeah.
Moving's always a blast. Fun, filled with fun
Hopefully this
surprises. Yeah,
hopefully this is my last one, so hopefully we're staying put, so I'm not at least for a long, long, long period of time.
I love it.
One room to war.
Absolutely. Well, excited for what we have today. Something pretty different. I thought we'd flip the script and I will interview you today. How
Yeah,
do you feel about that?
I feel good about it. You're a great interviewer. You ask really fun questions, punchy, sarcastic, my type of interviewee.
Yeah, that's good. I'll throw in some curveballs, hopefully, right? Well,
Yeah.
and today, what we wanted to talk about is a big announcement for Alaris. We've been, of course, compiling data on all of the most impressive buyers in the wealth management space for the last 4 years.
Yep.
It's been an incredible amount of work for the entire team and so fun to dig into all of the different models and the nuances of what they want their partnerships to look like. And our big announcement today, I'll let you take it away, but is really the
Yep.
culmination of all of that effort.
Yeah, so it's officially called the Alaris Lens, Lens, and it is the first real point of access for a seller, or let's call it a presumptive seller, to go explore buyers and buyer models and learn all about them in one central aggregated location. So to think of it like, say you're interested in knowing about M&A and wealth management. Who are the buyers? What are their models? What is their value proposition? How do they value businesses? All that sort of thing. There's no place for you to go in a central form to get educated and explore. A lot of the buyers individually have like join us pages or partnership pages or things like that. But that means you have to know who they are. And obviously when you go, there's only limited information. And so it's just kind of cumbersome and really difficult for you to try and get educated without having to engage with anybody, and spend a lot with potential buyer that
Mhm.
you may or may not know if you even want to spend any time with this firm. So, and it's something that, as you mentioned, we've been working on for years. It's as you know, our model as a seller advisor is quite different than the typical M&A advisor out there that runs financial auctions. Even those that say they don't run auctions, they all run auctions as the mechanism for buyer identification and matching. And we don't do that as Alaris, right? So we actually, even though we represent the seller, we have relationships with the buyers, and they're agreeing to share their data with us. And so today, I think we have over 80 buyers on our roster. And every time a buyer engages with us, they're agreeing to spend, on average, probably 20, maybe as much as 50 hours worth of time, where we're collecting this huge data set. All of these I call them
Absolutely.
measurable and objective points of alignment. It's things that any seller would want to know about a buyer on multiple levels. So there's structural things like, what is their fee model? Well, who are their custodians? What is in their tech stack? Just basic information. Then it moves into partnership preferences, like what are the things that they do to help me improve my business, my quality of life. It could be assistance with practice management. It could be expansion of services and capabilities. It could be help with organic growth. All of these things that they really build their value proposition on in terms of why should you partner with us, the things that you experience as owners, your team and your clients. And then it's the autonomy questions, like what are they going to leave me with in terms of decision making? And, so it's this vast data set of information that we've aggregated. It's by far the most in-depth buyer data set in the market, bar none. And there's nothing even remotely close to it. And it's taken, frankly, thousands of hours to aggregate. And so what we've done is we've collected all this information, and now we're going to make it basically available to a seller to explore. So for example, when we onboard a buyer, in addition to the information, we also do videos with them. So we video interviewed their executive team, their department heads, all the people that you would be working with if you ended up joining this firm. And we have all that information. So you get to hear the buyer, I don't know, read about them, but you get to hear them talk about work. And so we've basically housed all this into our technology. And there's two components to it. So the first component is what we'll refer to as our marketing site. So that's at alarisacquisitions.com. You can go to the site and there's a tab there. It says Explore Buyers. There's also an M&A Knowledge Center that we've created where we've put all sorts of information about anything M&A related. So you can just go learn, educate yourself, read articles that we've authored, articles that other people have authored on a whole host of topics that you're going to have questions about as a seller. So you can just get educated in the Knowledge Center. But then the exciting part is the Explore Buyers section. So you have to register an account. So it's not as if you can get in access to this data. Everyone that is going to be permitted into the site has to apply for an account so that we can be protective over who's accessing this data. But you can essentially go in there and apply filters to basically the entire buyer universe of things that might interest you. So for example, let's say you wanted to know who custodies at Raymond James. Okay, you can click a button and it filters all the buyers who have custodial relationships with Raymond James. You can filter buyers by size. You can filter buyers by their acquisition model. All of these things that just help you easily quantify the parameters of which you're seeking to explore and shrink the universe. So you're not, talking to people that you should not really be talking to based on these structural realities. And then once you curate the buyer list based on these basic filters, you then have access to this really incredible depth of information on the buyer. And it's the buyer telling their story. So everything that we've collected and are presenting, this is information that a buyer would want you to know about them. And it's organized in an M&A kind of thought process. So we have a general overview, we have their mandatory points of alignment, their acquisition model, we have information on their financials, and just everything that you would want to learn about a specific buyer to get educated. And then if you're interested in pursuing maybe a dialogue with that buyer, you can click your register interest and we can facilitate that. So it's a really awesome place for someone who's just saying, hey, maybe I want to learn about M&A, but I'm not sure I want to transact. I don't want to necessarily talk to these buyers yet. And they can just go explore at their own pace and get educated on buyers. So that's the first part, is the marketing site. And so we're rolling that out. And then the second part is, which is actually the most powerful aspect of it, is the lens application. And that's an internal element of the technology where we're super excited about it because we're leveraging the most sophisticated AI today, such that when a buyer engages with Alaris, so they're coming through our process and we're collecting and organizing all of their data, what we call their ideal outcome. So it's the quantitative data that the buyers want to see, and then the qualitative data that's really affecting, who they should transact with. Given that we have all of this buyer data in our tech, we can now run really effective matching, reasoned matches that rank all of the buyers based on their compatibility with the seller. And so that's an amazing breakthrough for us because, getting all this data on the buyers is one thing, but then being able to effectively use that information and match that to the seller's information in a very reasoned output. It's not just like this subjective, we think you should be talking to XYZ buyer. We're measuring all of these points of alignment between them. Again, the structural realities, the deal needs and objectives of the seller, the partnership preferences, and their autonomy profile. So all of those things are being measured. And so when we bring a seller to market and they're ready to have that buyer matching, we're not just blasting the world of buyers with an email saying, hey, would you like to participate in this process like the financial auctioneers do? We actually can tell you, based on all of your realities and what you're seeking, these are the buyers that you should be talking to because you are a match for them and they are a match for you. So that's the lens part. So there's two parts. There's the marketing site and then the lens actual matchmaking algorithm. So we're excited about it.
Absolutely. I mean, well, and so just to recap, so we are accessing the marketing site through our normal website, alarisacquisitions.com, and then go to explore buyers. And from there, really, getting to know the buyers. And I think, I mean, I would say it's going to improve the M&A process from the sense that sellers can get a really nuanced understanding of the buyers, kind of a Google of M&A in the wealth management
Yeah.
space, to be able to filter based on all of these priorities, who may be a fit out of that universe. And then the lens part of it is obviously a whole other,
Yeah, it's that's the magic. The
yeah.
way I like to describe it is, think of it like the marketing side is information, or just knowledge,
Mhm.
and the lens matchmaking algorithm is applying that knowledge. What's the old saying? The knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit, and wisdom is knowing that a tomato doesn't belong in a fruit
Mhm.
salad. And that's the
Yeah.
difference between the marketing site and the lens matchmaking algorithm. Is it's one thing to go learn and explore, but even with the massive amount of information we're sharing, it's an entirely different process to matchmake between the buyers and the sellers. It's
Absolutely. And really just, yeah, core to our whole business model that the focus is on all of the cultural elements, before getting to price, and then refining from there. But the focus really being on all of the autonomy points and preferences that both buyers and sellers have, and focusing on that through the journey. And our, I mean, it's really, Lens is new, the marketing site is new, but it's not new in how we've worked. We're going on our 50th deal in the next couple of months, 0 breakups. I mean, this is a proven method for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
think about all the stories that we've heard over the years of a seller engaging with buyer after buyer after buyer, whether it's through an auction process or whether it's through engaging the buyers who are reaching out to them on their own. And they end up
Yeah.
spending a month, 2 months more to get to a point where they find out something, it could be a structural thing, a deal term, or, whatever it is. And it's clearly not a match for them, but yet they've spent all of this time writing information
Mhm.
and answering questions and getting on the phone, maybe going and visiting them, only to get to a point that they said, geez, if we would have only known that, or if we would have asked the right question or learned that data point, we could have saved all this time. That's what the information allows you to do, is go watch it. Like when we do our matchmaking process now and we curate the list, we open up the Lens portal, which has all of this, the information that we're displaying on the marketing website, but even a deeper level of data that they can go watch on their own. And they'll come back to us and say, wow, I really liked this aspect of that buyer, this buyer, this stood out to me. We're just accelerating the process. It's no longer you have to go buyer by buyer by buyer and regurgitate the same information over and over and over again. You do it one time, and then you're effectively matched with the entire buyer universe in an instant. And so that's the amazing part of power of
Yeah.
AI and what it can do. So we
I love
it's like
it.
Uber was to taxis. We think it's going to be to the M&A
Right.
industry for wealth management. So it's awesome. Go to alarisacquisitions.com. It's super easy to explore the menu and find the explore buyer tool, and then open up an account, apply for an account, I should say, and then and enjoy.